All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We're taking the DYU King 750 bike to work today. We're gonna see how it is to commute. Just have a fun time with it. We're gonna check out the headlight that's on the front. Keep in mind, this bike does not have a rear light, so we did have to set up something right here on the suspension seat post, which is a pretty cool feature of this bike, by the way. But you'll notice it doesn't have any fenders, so we might get a little dirty if we go through some dirt and stuff like that. I don't think we really will. We'll probably be on the street for most of the part. But anyway, let's get on this bike, talk about it, have a good time. Let's just vlog and enjoy the nice, beautiful day we got out here. Now, if you guys did see my review video on this bike, you would have noticed that the display was very hard to read because it was bent a little bit too far up for the camera. And I did not notice that until I got back to the editing, but it was already recorded and done. So hopefully you guys can see it now. I bent it down. I think it is gonna be flashing because the way the GoPro records and the way this is set up for the, I think it's the LCD, or I think it's LEDs, that's why it's blinking. So I apologize for that, but that's the only thing we can do. We really can't change the display. But now that you guys can hopefully see it, I actually think this is one of the nicest displays a bike has. And from the last video that we did, hey, they painted these green. Hey, that's cool. For St. Patrick's Day or something that just passed like a week ago? Maybe, I don't know. In the last video, we did 8 miles. I now have 9 miles on the bike. We're probably almost at 10 because I rode a mile before I did that intro really quick. And we're down 1 battery bar. So this is a 48 volt bike with a 20 amp hour battery. So it's a very massive battery for this type of power level. So I expect us to get close to like 30 miles of range. So we're gonna be doing a 7 mile trip going to work and then a 7 miles back. So 14 plus the 8. And we're just gonna see what we end up with and see where our battery range is at. Now there's no percentage or anything like that on here. It's just battery bars, so that's unfortunate. I wish it would show like voltage or something like that, but it doesn't. But overall, you gotta admit, every bike has been coming out with the same display. And this is kind of nice to see for a change. And a nice little new button layout over here too. Other than this horn. Well, bell, I guess you should say. It's not even a horn. Just don't pay attention to that. We got a lot of traffic to pass. I'm gonna have to get over at one point, so I'm gonna have to merge in with traffic. We'll go this way. Well, that worked out a little better than I thought. A little rough, but we got through it. Not too bad. Now we just gotta turn in front of all this traffic. Now the cool thing about that just happened right there is, since I'm sitting so tall on the bike, I was able to see the traffic on the other side of the lane. When you're on a lower bike like a moped, I love the fact that you have a lower seating position. It feels more comfortable when you're at lights and you have to put your feet down. But this feels like a truck in the bike world, and I was able to see the traffic, so I was able to dart out there. If I was on a moped bike, I wouldn't have been able to see that car, and I would have probably sat there a little bit longer, or I would have been darting out a little bit just to kind of get that little look over my shoulder, just to kind of see if there's a car coming or not, because I'm not trying to die here. Now, in my review video, I talked about how this bike has a top speed, excuse me, doggy, of 28 miles per hour. It definitely reaches 28 miles an hour. We actually did a test on it and hit 29 miles per hour. But I've noticed that something on this controller, or something in the controller settings, it limits the power as soon as you hit 28 miles per hour. It actually cuts your power down. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. I don't know what this guy is doing in his truck, but he's like inching out. But I'd appreciate it if you don't. Thanks, man. All right, interrupted my video. But what I was saying is, it's good for the fact that it's gonna save a lot of battery because you're not gonna be maxed out on the wattage as you're riding at top speed. But it also feels very weird when you take your hand off this bike and to try to make that make sense. So like right now, I have one hand on the bike, and when I hit top speed, the bike will cut power and then it will give you power. So like, it's really hard to hold on with one hand because then I'm like going forward and then I'm going back ever so slightly. So it's almost like when you whiskey throttle a dirt bike or something like that, just not as powerful, obviously, but it has that like back and forth motion, which I'm not a big fan of. So I wish it didn't do that, but I mean, I guess this is what the bike's doing. I can't really change anything about it. And another thing too, when we talked about the power limit, you guys have probably seen it on this side above the battery. Hopefully you guys can see that. It says 96 watts. That's not accurate. And if you guys notice too, see how it drops down to like 48 watts? That's the bike basically cutting power in and out, and you guys could probably tell, and it's on this little screen right here. But I just don't like that. And I don't like the fact that the numbers aren't correct. This is a 750 watt bike, probably with a peak of about 1,000. 100 watts doesn't tell me anything, and it says 100 watts doesn't matter if we're taking off from a start or anything like that. So it's kind of weird. The throttle has also taken me a while to get used to. It has a lot of resistance in the half throttle, but it's not bad. I would probably like to start pedaling this bike if I'm gonna do very long trips, because depending on how your hand is and all that kind of stuff, you might have better hands than me if you're younger, but the older you are, you might have some problems with your hands hurting over time while holding the throttle, because it has a lot of resistance. So it's not as comfortable as some other throttles that have been out there on the market that we've tested out on some of these bikes. Oh my God, I gotta give my hand a break. Go Jeep, go. Following you, buddy, following you. Got selling fruit again. Making that money, making that money. Now we're gonna be coming up this overpass right here, so let's see what our top speed is gonna hold. I'm expecting maybe 21 miles per hour. I don't know. We'll see though. Feels very nice to turn though, even with these knobby tires that are made for street and off-road. Very comfortable. All right, so I'm gonna pedal and use the throttle. I don't wanna have any misinformation out there that people say you should have pedaled, come up here. So 23, we were at 24, now we're at 23, 22, 21. Ooh, is it gonna go to 20? Ooh, we went down to 20. I was expecting us to do about like 21 the whole time coming up, but it went to 20. But it's not as slow as some of the other e-bikes we've rode. The Jansno X50 was pretty slow. And then the Ingwe bike that we rode, man, that thing was absolutely slow as heck. It didn't even hit 28 miles an hour. It was an awesome bike with good batteries, but I mean, this thing is definitely more faster than it. Man, I was hoping to make this like straight on. Bye, I'm going. It's one good thing about a bike. I know it's gonna turn green, because once that guy made a U-turn, our side was gonna turn green, but I don't gotta sit there and wait. It's actually more safer to go through it and get away from traffic than keep yourself stuck in traffic. I don't like doing that, so I like to get out of traffic. All right, let's hopefully there's no cars coming. Cool, we good. There's always people coming out of the neighborhood. Woo! That suspension seat post came in clutch right there. I actually didn't feel too much. But one thing about the seat post is it's not the most comfortable seat post I've rode on a bike. Electric Bike Company came out with one and it was awesome. This one kind of sticks a little bit. I'm not a big fan of that. They're right behind you, man. I don't think you heard me, but he was far enough over for me to get around. But he's taking up almost the whole entire lane. Anyways, but it's not as good as some other ones I've been on, is basically what I'm trying to say. But it's nice that it has it, because this bike is a hardtail. It only has suspension in the front. But the suspension in the front like works like so good, and that lady just got scared right now because it's so quiet. See if this lady gets scared. Yep, we scaring people out here, because you don't hear nothing until you get like right up to people. I'm gonna make it. Oh man, that suspension seat post, even though it's not the best, that comes in so clutch. I love it. I really love it. I think bike manufacturers should start doing that. Maybe it should be a little bit better quality than what this one is, but it's still nice to have. And I love the front suspension, don't get me wrong. I took it off-road in my review video. If you didn't watch that, like I said, go back, check it out. And it handles so good off-road, and it feels so good off-road. It's not bad. So this hill, coming up it really quick, it was 20 and then 21 miles per hour, and now we're pretty much at the top of it. And we were going down the other overpass, we were doing 29 miles per hour, but the bike didn't want to go faster. Like I said, it cuts power when it hits a certain speed. So right now, look, there's no power on this display at all. So all we're doing is getting really nothing. Now the power is starting to come back on. And what I mean by nothing is it's basically just going off the rolling resistance, and then once it starts feeling like the bike starts going a little bit slower, then it starts kicking the power back on. I need to see if there's a way to change that in here, because I'm not a big fan of that. But anyways, we made it here. We didn't die, unless someone hits us on the way over here, because there's someone like right behind me. And we got someone that goes to the gym. They're working out. That car behind me is gonna have to sit there because you ain't making that now. I can get around traffic hella easy. Hey. The shit out of me. I thought you saw me the whole time. Then you turned around and came this way. Are you recording? I always record. What's that?
I heard someone coming too.
Really? Gotta have fun on these bikes. You gotta be the cool manager around here. You want people to enjoy working and not be miserable, because obviously we just want to have a good time at work and enjoy making money, you know? We don't want to have a bad day. We already have to deal with people that are kind of rude sometimes. So Nick, how's it going, man? But let me see what miles we did on the bike. I actually didn't look before I turned it off. Okay, so we got 14 miles on the bike in total, because my trip to work is roughly 6.5 to 7 miles. So that sounds about right. Anyways, I will park this bike, we'll lock it up, and then I will see you guys at nighttime when we get to check out this nice light, since we haven't done it yet, while I hit the bell, which is optional, by the way. You don't have to put the bell on, but anyways, I'll see you guys in a bit. Holy crap, we got a lot of water in. If you guys follow the channel, we never have much water like this. Now I'm trying to think of how I'm gonna lock up the bike. Come on now. All right, let me walk this bike because I haven't even put all my stuff on yet. All right, man.
All right, I'll see you.
See ya. All right. Whew. Getting on this bike is a struggle. Man, it's such a tall bike. Once you're riding it, you're good. Don't get me wrong, but woo. And I will say, the seat after a while is just, it ain't doing it. It has a little bit of padding right here, but like, I don't have a big butt. I just feel like the sides are a little bit hard, like right in the corners. But either way, so we don't have a brake light on the back, but I'm gonna use a shred light that's from one of my skateboards. So hopefully that should last us the whole time. I don't know when the last time I even charged that thing. So let's just pray to God, people see me, no one hits me. So let's turn this bike on real quick. It does take a while for a display to come on, which is kind of crazy. Hopefully this isn't too bright. It's not that bright of a display. It looks great in person. If you guys saw this display in person, you would love it. But real quick, we did go up to full battery after we set for a while, but it is gonna probably go down another battery bar or two as soon as we start getting a couple miles on it. We have 14 miles on this battery. I have not charged it since we started. I literally started recording my review when I was at 0 miles, so that's pretty much where we left off at. And then to turn on the headlight, we gotta hold the up button right there. I'm very curious to see how this light's gonna look. Most of the time what happens on these videos is we get somewhere and I notice the light's not very bright. The GoPro has to compensate with the ISO to, you know, bump up the quality of the light. And then the video just looks kind of dark and grainy. So the better the light I have on the front, the better the GoPro footage looks. But let's get on the way. It's pretty cold out here. And when I get to this section of road, we'll definitely check this light out. And the cool thing is we can adjust this, you know, however we want. All right, so let's get out of here. It always starts on pedal assist 1, and we only have 3 to work with. So let's go off the curb right here. Whoa, whoa. We got some chain slap right there. Those guys work next door at the pizza place. They're always giving me some pizza. Yeah, that looks like one of the cars I raced in my Fiesta. It's like a Q50 or something like that. I think that's what that was. All right, so one thing you guys cannot see that I did not record before I started this ride was the simple fact that I got the RGB lights on the helmet, and everyone is paying attention to them because they're pretty dope. If you guys saw them, you would love them. Oh, cool, it's my turn to go. Thanks, now everyone can see my helmet. And the seat just activated right there. It's so weird feeling my butt sink into the seat every time that suspension seat does want to work. It doesn't work all the time. It's just so weird. All of a sudden you're just riding, you totally forget that this bike has it, and then you just, all of a sudden you go down and you're like, what the heck? It just feels weird, that's all. So I do like that we have a little headlight indicator on this bike that kind of tells us that it's on, even though, like, you know, it's not a big deal if you're at nighttime, you need it on. But during the day, maybe you accidentally switch it on for whatever reason, you don't know, it's so bright. it is nice that it does have this. Now, I did notice that this display also has indicators for, it looked like a hazard and it also looked like turn signals, but this bike doesn't have any turn signals. But I'm assuming whatever controller you're using with this display, that it would accept turn signals if you like wired them up somehow. Obviously that's way beyond my head, but since the display has it, I assume that some bikes that come out with the same display can accept turn signals, and it will show it up on here, which is super cool. All right, we're gonna blow this and we're gonna come off this street real quick onto the darkest little street, whatever you want to call it, little bike walking path. Whoa, these brakes work pretty damn good now that they're like breaking in. Like, they're actually working pretty damn good. They made a little bit of noise right there, but I still like these brakes. Hydraulic, they feel good in the hands. But anyways, all right, so some of the lights that you might see on here or on my jacket are coming from the helmet, but everything else is straight out there. So I will turn this light off. Let's turn that off. Takes a while. Like I said, see how long it took for that to turn off? I was holding it the whole entire time. So this is how it looks with no lights. Let me turn it on. I swear it takes like 2 to 3 seconds to turn on. All right, and then you have to hold this, which takes another like second to come on. So this is how the headlight looks. And the cool thing is we do have some adjustments, so we can move it really far down, if you guys can see that, or we can move it a little bit more up. I think somewhere around like here is pretty good because I can see it going down there. It's not very bright. It's not as wide as I would like it to be. That's kind of something I noticed in my review video, that it wasn't that wide, but it's definitely doable for the average person. But if you guys want a little bit more light, oh, what the heck? Oh God, okay, it went down the 1 again. Damn it. I got so spoiled by some other bikes that just go straight to number 3 or 5, whatever it is, and you're just hitting max speed. Anyways, what I was saying, it's just not as wide. You can probably replace this with some other light or just put a little handlebar light on there. That's probably what I would do. Keep the stock one integrated if you can't disconnect it and plug another one directly into it. Just keep that one connected, use it for like the low beam, like a fog light, and then get one on your handlebar that's made to go like farther out to see. That would be my suggestion. And then get a light that I have like in the back, like a Shred Light R1 or some type of like seat post light that just kind of clamps around. I did not lift the seat up to put this on there. I just kind of put it on the section that goes up and down. So it's not really ideal, but I also didn't want to sit more higher on this bike. I have the seat as low as possible. That was probably one of my biggest complaints of this bike, other than it not having fenders on here, is that the bike just sits so high, and I'm 5'9", 5'10", around there, and this bike would probably be way more better for people that are taller than me. If you're like 5'5", so there's a girl at work, the one that you saw in the video that I scared when I got there. I should have took a picture of her because she actually got on the bike and she had a struggle to get on it. Now, when she was sitting on it, she was perfectly fine, but when she had to put her feet down, there was no way for her feet to touch the ground. And I think she's like, man, I don't know, she's like 5 foot. She's pretty short. So yeah, if you're under 5'5", I really couldn't recommend this bike for it to be very comfortable, at least with the seat post. If you want to buy this bike, just go to your local bicycle shop and change out the seat post that you're rocking on here, and then you can lower it a lot more. That's what I would do. All right, I'm gonna make it. It's gonna turn green, don't worry. See, I know my lights. Should I even be riding over here? I feel like with all the rain and no one driving in this section, it's probably a bad idea for these tires. I'm probably gonna get a flat over here. I really hope not though. That would suck ass. 1 in the morning, getting a flat tire, oh my God. I guess it's better than it, being in like 100-degree weather, but man, I gotta go through some like sketchy neighborhoods going home. Oh, and quick update, since we're kind of doing a range test in this video, is coming up we're down to 3 battery bars. We start off with 5, so we're down 2. We're on our last 3, and the very, very last one is red. So I don't know what that means. Maybe it's at 20%, maybe 15%, I'm not sure. All right, let's take this pretty fast. Max speed is fast as I can go, taking that. That's pretty nice and smooth. I had my leg out just for stability, but this bike's nice. Whoa, man, that thing turned faster than I thought it was gonna do. I'm not trying to wreck here, so you definitely can take that faster. And Another update. All right, so we actually went up a battery bar. So now we're only actually down 1 battery bar, and that's because I think we were coming up that hill and we were having to use a lot of power. Woo! Man, this thing is pretty easy to turn and fun, actually, with having like big old tires on it. Oh, here's one thing I gotta show you guys. Oh my God. So if you guys did not see my review video, I know I probably said that for like the 5th time in this video already, so I apologize. But check out the mile per hour. If you guys can see that, we're like at what, 23? Now we're almost about to hit 24 miles per hour. So I'm gonna tell you when I let off the throttle and start pedaling. So I'm trying to get to 24, okay, there. So let off the throttle, I'm pedaling. 23, 22. We're holding 22 miles an hour. We're not going any faster. I'm pedaling as much as I can on this bike. Now the bike picked up and now it's giving me all the power. There's a huge delay where it feels like a boosted car, where the turbo is so big for the displacement of the motor, and you're pedaling and pedaling, you only have like a little bit of power, and then it slowly ramps up after like 10 seconds of you pedaling. Then it starts giving you full power, and then it goes. I don't understand what's up with that. It feels very weird. Maybe there's something in the settings that you can change, I'm not sure. But a lot of people always like comment after the fact when I make these videos and say, oh, you can go into the settings, you can change this, you can change that. And that's cool and everything like that. I don't really dive too much in the settings unless I'm gonna change like the speed and unlock it to max. I wanna review these bikes exactly how they come from factory to all you guys. So that's kind of why I go over the bikes on how they are. Like, I'm pretty sure we could probably change this pedal assist from having only 3, so 1, 2, 3. We could probably change it to have 5 or maybe 9, like some of my other bikes. But I want to review it the exact way it's going to arrive at your door, because most people are not going to dive into a lot of the settings or mess with it. Some of you guys might, you know, if it's like your everyday bike, you'll probably learn every single little thing about it. But I don't really dive too much into these bikes. All right, so we're taking a shortcut through this neighborhood because this bike isn't very fast to be on one of the main roads. So I always cut through here. Suspension seat post was working right there. It was pretty bumpy. I don't know if you can tell by the GoPro. Half the time on the GoPro it's nice and stable, but we've been hitting some big potholes and you just can't tell. So far, 17 miles on the bike, and we are down another battery bar. So now we're back to being down 3 battery bars. 2 of them are white, 1 of them is red. I'm thinking we're only gonna probably go down 1 more battery bar, and we're gonna be left at 2 by the time we get back to the house. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know though. All right, so this is a really bumpy section for these bikes. We do have some big fat tires, so let's see how it takes it. Ooh. Oh, wow. Not bad. Oh yeah, that's not bad. So it's a hardtail, of course, suspension seat, but it felt like the bike was solid. And it actually took it better than I thought it would. And I think these tires are aired up to like 17 or something like that, somewhere around there. So they're not at 20, they're not maxed out, but they're still up there. If you guys want a little bit more of a softer ride and you get little less mileage and range and stuff, you guys can definitely air your tires down a little bit more. All right, there's a car coming behind me. I hope they see my little light in the back. No one hit me, please. And hopefully they hurry up because I need to get over. All right, cool. They turn onto the freeway. I'm not going over there. I'm not fast enough. So now that we're kind of close to the house, I still got a few more miles, and we'll definitely check the range when we get there, which, by the way, we dropped another battery bar, so now we only have 2 left. What I want to say is, since we're towards the end, the biggest thing I'm probably going to complain about this bike on a day-to-day basis is I know it has no fenders. I know it has no brake light. It's okay that it doesn't have fenders. It is what it is. I feel like at this price point it should. And then the brake light, you can figure something out, you know, for that. I wish it had a brake light, you know. But anyways, the biggest complaint I'm really having with this bike, if I was to use it day to day, would be the throttle cutting in and out at top speed. It's literally restricting me from going any faster than like 28 miles an hour. It does not want me to go any faster. And I hate that feeling. Like, I'm going as fast as I can. And like we said earlier when I was going to work, it's hard to let your hand off because then you're like this, and then the bike kicks in, then you're up here, and then the bike cuts off again, and you're going back and forth, and you know, there might be a time you hit a bump at the same time and you're going forward and you might wreck or something. I think this would drive me absolutely crazy. But then again, maybe there's a setting you can go into and you can like change some stuff. I really don't know. And thank you, car, for waiting. I really appreciate it. You had all the time in the world, but I really thank you. You guys aren't trying to kill a biker out here. Much love. All right, so the last thing we're gonna talk about before we hit the house right now and see where our range is and stuff like that is, would I recommend this bike? Now, not for over $2,000, hell no. But with it being on sale right now for like $12.99, it's a good price. I really do believe that. I just feel like they messed up on not having fenders on this bike for that price. It really should have came with that. And I know a lot of you guys are gonna say like, the moped style bike is better than this one, blah, blah. It's really about preference. This is a huge bike. Bigger tires, bigger rims, bigger frame, integrated battery. It's not a slip-on battery. So you gotta think about that too. It's nice and hidden. That costs some extra like R&D and stuff to have that done. And it does have some decent parts on it. They're kind of like most bikes, they're pretty much all the same. It does have the display and then the seat post that I'm sitting on right now, which is stuff that you don't see on other bikes. I do like the button layout. I would have liked to seen electronic horn instead of this crap. But I would highly recommend the bike. I mean, 1,300 bucks. I know some people are gonna say it's expensive. Others will probably say like, nah, for that type of style of bike, the way it looks and stuff, some people might be interested. I think it's also just gonna come down to if you like the flat black look of this bike. It's really clean. I think that's the best thing it has going for it, is it's super nice and clean. It's comfortable for the most part, and the display is gorgeous to look at. Now, I just want to know why my power does not show correctly. So maybe your guys' would, or maybe there's a setting I got to go, but this is how I got the bike. So let me show you when we get back to the house on how many battery bars we have and our range. All right, so I am home. I just got here because that just turned on. So have not let the bike sit at all. And it's looking like we're at 3 battery bars without being on the throttle. So not too bad for 20 miles. Now our trip is saying 5.5 miles, and that's total BS. So this trip that reads, I actually probably have more miles on the bike than what's reading, because that is totally inaccurate. My trip is 6.5 miles to 7 miles in total. So it's off like pretty much a whole entire mile. So if we were to add 1 extra mile for going to work and coming back, if that's off, then we would actually have 22 miles on this bike with 3 battery bars. That's not bad. Honestly, this is a pretty damn good bike, especially if you're a tall person and you like how this looks. Just expect to get a light in the back and probably a different headlight unless you think this is okay. I think safety first. I'd probably order one from Amazon if I was you, but it's not a bad bike. I got links down in the description if you guys want to check it out. It's probably going to be my last video about it, but hopefully you guys liked it and enjoyed it. And just get it just because it has a cool display. That's what I would do. Or figure out if you can use this display for some other bikes, because it's kind of dope. All right, guys. See you guys in the next one. Later. Well, that's a trip. I was about to move the bike into my garage, and if you guys can still see the display, it's probably flashing and doing a bunch of crazy stuff because I think it's LED. But we are up to 4 battery bars now. That's not really accurate. It's probably honestly even going to jump up another battery bar if we let it sit here long enough. But I think realistically, we went down 2 battery bars, maybe 2.5 for the 22 miles that we did. Just keep in mind, this is not completely accurate on your range, but see you guys in the next one. Later.